3rd, 2020, magical year. We're meeting via Google Meet. And if people want to see our meeting or hear it, I'm not sure if it's being telecast live, but you can see it on BNC TV on Facebook. So call to order. And are there any citizens' comments that we are not aware of? New business. The first thing we have to talk about is the fall sports program. And I think that's probably why Ernest is here, and he can fill us in on stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'd like to update you on what's going on with the fall sports. So MIA has announced that fall sports are to take place with the option of having a floating season. What that means is basically breaking up the fall sports into 2 sections. The first section is going to start on September 18 and go through November 20th. And the second section is going to start on February 22nd and go all the way through April 25th. So we met with the Franklin County schools, and we decided that it would be best for us to compete within the county. That means competing with the local, about 8 or 9 schools. We also decided that to keep cross country and field hockey in the first half of the season, starting September, and move soccer and volleyball into the second half of the season, which will be in a floating season. So scheduling is we're working on a scheduling right now. It should be done sometime next week. We're only going to be competing with varsity teams only. So JVs and middle schools will not be competing against other schools. However, we are going to be also encouraging students to sign up and register for sports. We're going to have practices, and we're going to be holding competitions within the teams. So the way it's going to look, we're planning on having about 8 or 9 games for field hockey, and we're going to have about 3 to 4 games for cross country. We also proposed this idea to PVIAC, Pioneer Valley Interclassic Athletic Conference, and District Athletic Committee. So we spoke with the executive secretary of PVIAC. He's going to propose that idea to the executive board, so it looks like it's going to pass. And we're still waiting to hear from the DAC, District Athletic Committee, which is going to happen, I believe, tomorrow morning. In addition, so Department of Public Health decided that they're not going to change anything. So in order for students to participate, they will need to have in-person physical exams in order to participate in sports athletics. Joanne, you had a question?
I do. I have a question about the physical exams.
Yes.
DPH has changed them for school entry. Is there a separate one as far as playing sports?
What I know is they need to have in-person physicals, no virtual physicals. So they need to have in-person physicals in order to participate in sports.
Okay. Is that MIAA? Oh, yeah. I've only received documentation from DPH on admission into school and the physicals that are required. Is Carla here?
Carla was on, yes. I'm not sure if she's still here.
I'm here, Jeannie.
Did you see that DPH on physical exams?
I did, and I thought the same as you. I thought that they were waiving, that they were saying that the kids do not have to have them for school anyhow. I don't know if there was more information as far as sports, if those ones, it sounds like maybe DPH may have said they need to have them in person for sports, but for school, they did waive the in-person ones as far as I recall, as well as screenings and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the one, I don't have that information on me right now, but there was definitely information about sports athletics that they have to have in-person physicals.
And that was from DPH or MIAA?
Yes. DPH has sent that to MIAA and MIAA forwarded to us.
Well, it sounds like that might be different for sports than it is for entrance to schools.
Could be.
It would make sense. I guess it would make more sense to make sure that they are seen by an actual physician if they're doing sports as opposed to just being in school. I would think the virtual would be fine.
As long as their physicians are available to do that.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I hate to see a student who's had a virtual visit with a physician not be able to play sports because the doctor wasn't able to do a in-person one.
Yeah. Hopefully that will be worked out amongst with the athletic department and the kids and the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, if the student's unable to have physicals, I'm sure we can find a physician to take care of that.
We have a school doctor for a reason.
Yep.
Karen, did you have your hand up? They can't hear you.
Thank you. We recently passed a mask policy that required masks be worn anytime anyone was on the school grounds doing anything. How is that going to fit with playing sports? Do you have any guidance on that yet? And will we have to change our policy?
So there are guidelines on the sports also. So students must wear masks during the game and practices also, including coaches.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions of Ernest? Mike?
So during the cross-country meets, while they're actually in the racing form mode, they will be required to wear masks or not?
So yeah, so during the, I think for cross-country, because it's a lower risk, I don't think they have to, but when they're closer to if there are a lot of people there, they will have to wear the mask, but I think during the running, they should be okay.
Okay, what are they doing, staggered starts, or what are they doing as far as that if you've got a large group of students that are going to be participating in these events? Because I assume the numbers in cross country and the other two sports are probably going to go up because there isn't many sports to participate in. I just want to know, well, I don't really need to know. I think the parents and the students need to know. I'm for this, the sports program, but it needs to be clarified so you don't have people questioning who's supposed to be wearing what at what time. So once you guys, once this gets probably, I assume gets approved, just need to get some clarification out there so parents and students understand what the requirements are per sports in the mask and when they're not supposed to have them on if they don't need to have them. Because I don't see somebody running a 2.9 mile course through the woods with a mask on. It probably won't be good. They'll be wearing it around their neck by the time they get to the finish line.
Yeah, I'll clarify that and get back to you on that.
Are there any other questions?
I think with cross country, Mike, I think they were going to do the races as far as when people would be racing together, they were going to have them on timed rather than have them actually racing together. If that makes sense.
That would make sense. It'd be just a time trial, which the time it's basically your individual time anyway. So, and then they just compute it to the team and add the scores up.
I can see other concerns of, where the kids put all their gear when they are unmasked, that kind of thing. But I'm sure Ernest will face each difficulty and figure it out. So.
Yeah, so we know that no matter how hard we try, the sports are going to look different this year. So no matter whatever we do. So our best option is just to follow the guidelines the best we can and just make sure the kids do have some kind of activity going, because we do agree that it is a big part of their growth and it's a big part of their life. So we definitely need to have sports.
Ryan, I see you're on. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I think Ernest did a good job explaining everything. So thank you.
Great. Okay. Yep, Mike.
Real quick, Ernest, do we want to talk about the MOUs for the stipends and stuff like that, or will we just bring that to the school committee once those are decided on, when we know the amount of games and practices and all that?
That's sort of up to you and John. How you guys want to figure that out? Because I think we haven't really.
I think we should wait on that. The committee doesn't have that information, so.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to see if you wanted to go over that.
Mike, you had a question?
No, I'd like to make a motion.
All right,
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the document as provided to the school committee tonight to allow the fall sports to proceed based on documentation and the requirements for PPE.
thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that. Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. So I'm just going to go down through, and if I miss anybody, let me know. Karen,
Yes. Karen. I'll
Mike,
Mike Townsley Bernardston, yes.
David,
David, yes.
Abby,
Abby Pratt, yes.
Jim, I'm gonna have to jump over you because you need to not vote on this.
Even though I'm not a fall coach?
I
called Russell and he said if fall coaches could vote, if they're not a fall coach, they can vote on this.
okay, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim, you can vote.
All right, I vote yes.
Jeannie? Jeannie?
Jeannie
Yeah.
Milton, yes, I was muted. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Michelle?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Jess?
Jessica Marshall, Warwick, yes.
And Kristen, is your husband a coach for fall sports or not until spring?
He's a coach for fall sports.
Okay, so she has to recluse herself. Did I miss anyone? That's all I see for pictures.
Just you.
Okay, just me.
Michelle.
And I will vote in favor, so that motion passes. Going on. Discussion about work hours and work years. Don, do you want to lead that discussion?
Sure. I just want to make sure because I couldn't really hear you. We're on the
Yeah.
memorandum of agreement with the IAs and the hours.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
number 2.
Yeah, so this is just for the 2021 school year. The elementary instructional assistants are working 1,170 work hours. This just lays out the schedule at both the elementary level and the middle and high school level. I know Kim Godfrey, I think, is on the call. I don't know, Kim, if you have anything to add, but it's pretty straightforward.
Nope, it's pretty straightforward, and I think we've got everything correct.
Okay. So, and hearing that from them, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask, or do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Karen.
I move that we accept this memorandum of agreement for instructional assistance, work hours and work year for 2021.
Would anyone care to
I'll
second that motion?
I'll
That
second.
That was who?
Jim.
Okay, you're in the dark, Jim, so not really in the dark, but yeah.
I am always in the dark.
So
It's
we need,
comfortable.
that's good. So, Karen? Mike?
Abstain.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, David?
Aye.
Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Michelle?
Michelle Jeruso, yes.
Kristen?
Kristen Gonzalez, yes.
And Jess?
Jessica Marshall, yes.
And I'll vote yes also. Discussion on vote, whether would allow staff members to bring their school-age children to be present at their workspace classroom when no other district is on the workspace or room. And subject
Pat,
to waiver, yes.
Pat, your microphone is apparently very directional and we didn't hear any of that. But when you face it, it's perfect.
Okay. All right. So I won't try to read this at the same time. That's crazy. All right. So number 3, it's a discussion on whether staff can bring their children into school. You all have it on your agenda in front of you.
Do you want me to talk a little bit, just for a brief minute, Pat?
That would be wonderful. Yes.
Sure. This was a recommendation that the commissioner had sent out about children of teachers. And he says, recognizing the critical need districts are facing to staff their schools this fall and to provide support to teachers, he was making the following recommendations. He was recommending that districts that are providing remote instruction, and this would be complete remote instruction, to the point if we had to shut down and not allow special populations in the building. So there would be no students at this time in the building. If we were in that remote instruction, to allow teachers who are reporting to their schools to provide instruction from their classrooms and allow them to bring their own children in to school with them, their school-age children with them, so they could still provide instruction to our students and have what the materials and resources they need at hand. Because finding substitutes during the fall is going to be near impossible. It's going to be very difficult. So this allows our teachers to, do their jobs from their classrooms. There's consistency with our students, and it also helps them personally being able to, have their children in the classroom with them in case they can't find a daycare or somebody to watch them. So this would actually work out well for the district. And again, this is when nobody else is in the building.
Is there any discussion, David?
Yeah, the question for John, whether underlying this is it implicit that teachers will be, even if we're totally virtual, teachers will be teaching from the building, or if they have the facilities to do so, can they work from home?
Well, we're still in negotiations with the association, so that's being discussed. But our hope is, with some of our teachers having limited internet access or even no internet access, provides them an opportunity to come in and work from the classroom. So unless the governor shuts the state down and just says it's not permissible, I think we would try to allow it if we could, as long as it's not violating any kind of state law. And then they would have to also, with this, they would have to sign a waiver of parental consent release from liability and indemnity agreement that you were provided, releasing the district of any liability, by bringing their children in.
Okay, so my question isn't directly to the question before the school committee, which is, should we allow this? And I think we should. It is just further in my understanding, are we operating from the expectation that we want teachers in the building?
Yes, we'd like the teachers in the building teaching from their classrooms.
Jeannie?
John, let me just get this straight in my mind. This would only happen if there were no other students in the school. Is that correct?
Correct.
So if the special population is in the school, this would not be happening.
That's right. If special populations there would be no district students in the building at all while this would be happening. This would just be if everybody was solely working remotely, all students were remote. It would just allow some of our teachers that had childcare needs, to be able to access the building, or internet, limitations to access the building to teach from their classrooms, and then, have their school-age children come with them so they could actually, continue to do their job for the district. And I know we've had several teachers in support of this.
Any other questions? Seeing none, are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion, Pat.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Who was the
Kristen.
second? Kristen, okay. So we'll do our voting now. Karen
Karen O'Neill, yes.
and Mike,
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, yes.
David,
David, yes.
Abby,
Abby Pratt, yes.
Jim,
Jim, yes.
Jeannie,
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Michelle,
Michelle Geruso, yes.
Jess,
Jessica Marshall, yes.
Kristen,
Kristen Gonzalez, yes.
and Pat Sherry, yes. So the motion passes. The next thing on our agenda is the discussion and vote on school reopening MOU between the Pioneer Valley Regional School District and the teachers and support staff. We are still in
Pat, I'm sorry, this is Ann.
Hi, Ann.
I arrived late due to some transportation issues. So
Okay,
the motion that just passed, I got all the people and the votes and the motion in the second, but there was no motion. It just said, I'll give you that motion, but I missed the previous discussion. Could you just clarify for me what the motion is?
okay, Karen, you made that motion?
Mike did. And
Made the motion on number 3 for the teachers to bring their students to school with no other students in the school at that time.
oh, to bring their, okay, so the MOU. All right, number 3. Thank you. Sorry.
All right.
As written.
So number 4 is something we're still in discussion with our 2 unions. And we have another meeting scheduled for Tuesday. And so hopefully when we come back together on Thursday of next week, we'll have something we can report. Is that right, John?
Yes, that's correct.
So is there anything else that we need to speak about this evening? Karen, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I'm referring to this other document we received, parental consent, release from liability. Who is this intended for?
This was sent by our attorney's office. That goes along with this, that the parents, our teachers would have to sign this consent, releasing liability from the district.
Okay, I was unsure what in the first full paragraph the project is. What does project mean?
That's something I haven't got, so go ahead, Karen.
Okay. So in the 4th line down, it's actually the second paragraph. It says assisting or participating in the project. What's the project?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. This came right from our attorney's office that they've used in other districts related to the same.
And in the 3rd paragraph, it's not even a sentence. It doesn't make sense on its own. So I think it needs a reworking.
Thank you, Karen. I agree.
Okay, when did this come? Because I don't seem to find it.
The other documents.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there anything else that was on there that?
We could certainly send this back to Russell's office and have him look at it and if needed, change it or explain it.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Is there anything else before we adjourn? No.
Can you see my hand?
We can see your hand, yeah.
Okay. I know that we're going to talk about the memorandum of agreement with the teachers next week. But when will we talk about the reopening of school? And what are going to be the metrics for the reopening of school? Can we not talk about that? Or I would like to hear some teacher input before we have to come to a vote. I think we need more information before we come to a vote.
I can speak to that quickly, Michelle. It's Carla. In the negotiations meeting on Tuesday, I'm going to do a little bit of a, because a lot of teachers had the questions about the closure protocol, which kind of has to do with the health metrics. So I'm going to do a little presentation for them just to explain what that looks like.
Okay, are we going to be able to see any metrics?
Yeah, it's on the school closure protocol.
Yeah, I was looking at that today, and I have another school district's risk management and risk assessment, and they did a really nice matrix on every different class, like chorus, band, what the protocols are going to be. Are we going to see anything like that? Science, where they have to use various equipment. Is there any documentation like this that we can view?
I'm not clear. They seem like different topics, but in the reopening plan, we do have lots of different kind of class specific things. And that's something that the nurses are going over with teachers in the buildings. I think it was kind of too hefty to put in the reopening plan itself as far as so you're talking about like a class where you might be using microscopes or hands-on kindergarten.
Yes.
So that
that's correct. I have a 6th grade chorus class in front of me from another district. And it has tasks or step, the hazards, the controls, and the PPE. And it's really nice to just pick it up and look at it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at it. I mean, the closure protocol kind of talks more about the metrics in the state and whether or not it would be considered, safe to go back as far as the, case numbers in the state, that kind of thing. So I think we're talking about that, but I'd be happy to look at it and I can.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a great tool, and I think it would be very helpful for the parents as well as the teachers.
Okay.
John, do you have anything to say on that?
I have nothing to add. It's not on the agenda, so I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but I understand where it's coming from. So we could certainly talk about that at the next meeting.
That would be great.
I think it's best practice for schools is what I see this as. So I thought the state had sent something out for you. I didn't know.
No, they haven't.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else to come before us? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. Let's adjourn.
Thanks, Jim. And there was a second?
Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Mike? I can't read lips, but I think he said no, that he was ready to leave. Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
David?
David, yes.
Jim?
Jim, yes. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good week.
Thanks. Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Michelle?
Michelle Geruso, yes.
Jess Marshall, yes.
And Kristen?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. So we'll see you in a week. Have a nice week.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Pat, you too.
Bye.